Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Jane Barrand. I'm one of the partners of Rethink and also with Emerging Destinations. As a sign of the times, 10 minutes ago, I had a nurse in my driveway and having a COVID test because I'm headed to Kenya on Friday and I need a certain kind of test. Crazy the world we're living in now. Um, Before I introduce our speaker, I just want to remind you guys, Shanga is a sponsor and they are a nonprofit organization in Tanzania, and you can go do your Christmas shopping with some of the best crafts that you will ever see in the world there. Now I have the pleasure of introducing my very, very dear friend, Judy Hurst, who is passionate about all things travel, and Iceland is one of her favorite destinations. So I'm going to leave her to tell you, she knows more about Iceland than anyone I know in the US. So Judy, you're on.
Thanks, Jane. Thank you so much. Before I get started, what I really want to say is I want to give kudos to you and the Rethink Travel team for your hard work in putting this all together. I think it's been absolutely fantastic. So what
Thank
I'm going to
you.
do now is I'm going to jump right in and talk about my personal passion, and that's Iceland. So here we go. Okay, Iceland. I think some of you know that it's been called the land of fire and ice. I've been traveling to Iceland for the last 15 years, and each time I go, I love it more. In fact, I've often said if I had to, I would pick up and move there in a heartbeat, no problem at all. So I'm excited to tell you all about why you should consider going to Iceland, because there's no place else like it. In 2018, it was voted the best destination of the year by Travel and Leisure magazine. It's relatively low population, lots of wide open spaces, and sheer natural beauty, and otherworldly scenery, as you can see. And Condé Nast agrees, they voted Iceland #1 for the past 12 years as the safest country in the world. We've got the wide open spaces. What I say is that Iceland, it's nature made, it's not man made. You're not going to find a lot of fancy buildings to look at. You're going to find incredible nature. Very easy to reach, as you can see from this. Iceland is actually the closest European neighbor to the United States. And from the East Coast, it's barely a 5-hour flight. So it is really easy to access. It's a small country. Basically, it's about the size of Kentucky. And population, as you can see, really tiny country, 360,000 population, the majority of which live in Reykjavik. They do not use the US dollar as their currency, but you can use it to pay for things. They have their own currency, the Icelandic kroner. And Icelandic, well, it's a very difficult language if you've ever heard of it. And you can see you can't even pronounce half of the words, but not to worry, everyone speaks English. One of the biggest questions that I get is what time of year should I go to Iceland? The name Iceland is off-putting to a lot of people, but if you look at this, this is going to give you an idea of the climate. It's not as cold as people may think it is because it's on the Gulf Stream. So it's actually considered a moderate temperature. The hours of daylight vary depending on the time of the year. In the winter months, you may have only about 3 hours of daylight. It's more dusky. It's not pitch dark. It's more dusky. And then in the peak of the summer, there's usually 21 to 22 hours of daylight. The average temperature, as you can see here, this is Fahrenheit. And I'll tell you, on a really warm day in the summer, you'd be lucky if you get to 70 degrees. So it's a great place to go. This is a terrific map. If you take a really look at this, and I do have these available, this shows you all of the activities that you can do around the country. If you look down the lower corner, lower left-hand corner, you see the airplane, and that is where the airport is. So you've got the airport, you've got Reykjavik, and of course, the world famous Blue Lagoon. Reykjavik City highlights, it is a UNESCO World City of Literature, and in only 2 hours from the city center, you can be inside of a glacier. In less than an hour, you can be inside of a volcano, just in case those are things that you might want to do, and you should. The world famous Blue Lagoon, it's a mineral hot spring. It is a natural phenomenon, and it's about 45 minutes from downtown, close to the airport. Most people will visit the Blue Lagoon either upon arrival in Iceland, or it will be the last thing they do before they get to the airport. The white stuff that you see on their faces, that's silica, and that comes from the bottom of the lagoon. It's a natural exfoliant, and there are big wooden boxes around the perimeter of the lagoon that are filled with the silica. So you scoop it out, put it on your face for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then you rinse it off. You can also have spa treatments here. There are 2 restaurants and a wonderful gift shop. Those products that are Blue Lagoon products are some of the best in the world. And you can now actually even get them on Amazon. So if you can't get to Iceland, or you've been and you want a refill, consider buying them online. This is a world famous landmark, and I'm not going to embarrass myself and try to pronounce it because I'm not really good at speaking Icelandic, but this is a magnificent church that is right downtown Reykjavik, and it is, as I say, a wonderful landmark. This is another new landmark. This is called Harpa, and this is their concert hall. It's absolutely gorgeous glass structure. There's lots of concerts and music events. And there's even a great show that when we can go to Iceland, you can see. It's called How to Become Icelandic in 60 Minutes. It's a really funny comedy. Just a scene about to show you, give you a little bit of ambiance of what the harbor, the old harbor in Reykjavik looks like. And you can see these beautiful houses. They're painted the bright colors because, as we said, the winter months, it's a little bit dusky and dark. So these beautiful houses are painted the bright colors to add a little bit of sunshine. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to head outside of Reykjavik so that you can see this incredible countryside. You start driving the Ring Road, which is actually the main road. It's one road that goes around all of Iceland, goes around the perimeter. It encompasses about 825 miles. Beautiful, beautiful scenery. Well, waterfalls, I don't know that there's many places that have more, and I don't know who counted them, but it is said that there are 10,000 waterfalls in Iceland. Mineral hot springs and geysers. You can even walk behind many of the waterfalls. They don't have guardrails. So you can get very up close and personal and get some great photography. Same with the geysers. You can't walk up to the geyser, but you can get pretty close. You can feel the heat and the hot water that comes from it. The entire country is heated by geothermal energy. Here we go, about 2 hours outside of Reykjavik, you can have one of the greatest experiences. Obviously, I love this. That's me down in the bottom getting suited up. This is called Into the Glacier. You can also go snowmobiling on the outside of the glacier, and this is a year-round activity. It is the largest man-made tunnel in the world. The glacier itself is about 370 square miles. It's actually larger than the city of New York. And there are 7 glaciers in Iceland. Great place for whale watching. 95% chance of spotting whales. They're humpback, blue whale, pilot whale, orca, many different species. And then there's these adorable birds. That number is correct, by the way. They figure, and again, I don't know who does all this counting, but they figure there's 8 to 10 million puffins on Iceland. Best time to see them is going to be May to August, and they do indeed mate for life, and their average lifespan is about 20 years. My personal obsession with Iceland are the Icelandic horses. I love horses, and again, that is me in the picture. What I like about these is that they are short, They are stocky. They have beautiful manes. They have 5 gaits, so it's a little bit different than the horses that we maybe know. 80,000 horses in and around Iceland. They stay for life. If somebody purchases an Icelandic horse and they leave Iceland, they can never return. You can definitely go horseback riding. They are very, very gentle creatures. I bet when you think of Iceland, snorkeling or diving doesn't come to mind, but it's definitely possible. Iceland is a land of great possibilities. Silfa is a fissure between the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates in the Thingvellir National Park. It's the only place in the world where you can dive or snorkel directly in a crack between 2 tectonic plates. And here's another thing I bet you never thought you would do in Iceland. There are over 60 golf courses in Iceland, and even a golf tournament called the Arctic Open that's in July, and anyone can play. And since we're in the summer and it's almost 24 hours of daylight, there is a midnight tea time. Want to go fishing? Okay, that we can do as well. It's a paradise. You have ice fishing, fly fishing, deep sea fishing. Another one of my very favorite experiences on the South Coast is the Jökulsárlón Glacier Lagoon, where you can get up close and personal with the glaciers in a tour boat or a Zodiac. I'm in that Zodiac. I'm all the way in the back on the right, and this is an absolutely wonderful, wonderful experience. So these are the ice caves. You can certainly have ice cave adventures. You can go ice climbing. And this picture here is called Diamond Beach, where big chunks of the glaciers break off and they actually come ashore. You can sit on them, you can look at them, and I guess they resemble diamonds, and hence the name. And of course, on the black sand beach, it looks gorgeous. And this is another wonderful picturesque place. This is the town of Vik, with black sand beaches and black basalt rock formations. Legend has it that the rocks were 3 trolls who went out drinking, they stayed out late, and then they froze in those positions. Icelanders are very superstitious and they believe in trolls. For you movie buffs out there, this is another great map for you to take a look at. There are many, many movies filmed in Iceland and also several episodes of Game of Thrones. Several locations that you can visit where they show you how they make bread the old-fashioned way in the ground as it bakes from the geothermal heat, and it's delicious. It's very dense bread. It's a lot of molasses in it. It's I guess you would say it's well, I was going to say that it's more like gingerbread, but it's very molasses-y in taste. It's absolutely wonderful. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of sheep in Iceland, actually more sheep than human inhabitants, hence the yarn and the gorgeous traditional Icelandic design sweaters. You can buy them. We've had a lot of knitting clubs that have actually come, and that word is a word that doesn't even sound or look Icelandic. It's lopapeysa. The yarn itself is called lopi, and it's distinctive because it's a combination of outer fibers being long, glossy, and water resistant, and the inner layers are soft and insulating, providing a high resistance to the cold. Okay, not to forget about food and wine. There are many microbreweries that have opened recently around Iceland, so lots of opportunities to sample some of the local varieties. Pure Icelandic water is fabulous, locally brewed vodka, and brennivin, which is called Black Death. When prohibition was lifted in Iceland, they wanted to make the drink sound as bad and look as bad as possible, so they actually put it in a dark green bottle. Iceland has incredible food. The cuisine is fabulous. Fish from fresh waters around the island. There's also lamb, there's beef, chicken. All fruits and vegetables are grown hydroponically with no chemicals and no pollutants. There's lots of dairy farms and dairy products, and also skyr, which is a type of yogurt. And in that lower right-hand corner, one of my favorite dishes. This is going to sound weird. It is called rye bread ice cream. They use the bread that they baked in the ground, dry it out, and mix it into a vanilla ice cream base. It is absolutely great. We now have a Michelin star restaurant in Reykjavik called Dill. Prices are a little high. Tasting menu with wine is about $250 per person, but it's an experience you won't forget. Perhaps the thing that Iceland is most famous for is the Northern Lights, the Aurora Borealis. They can be quite elusive. It's a natural phenomenon, a natural light display. No guarantees of them appearing, but the best chances are between September and March. The Icelanders are more obsessed with Northern Lights than the tourists. You can sign your name on a sheet at the hotel front desk, and then they will call your room if they actually appear that evening. So it's sort of like going to Africa where you sign up for game drives and sightings. Absolutely wonderful experience. I think I'm coming to the end of my program. I think I lost myself in my notes, but actually Iceland is a spectacular destination. It is a 4-season destination. When people say, what time of the year should I go to Iceland? A lot of it will depend. The Northern Lights, of course, is a phenomenon September to March. If you want to do golf or do some outdoor activities, then June, July, and August would be your best bet. For those of you who need a little bit more of Iceland, I want to direct you to a Facebook page called Iceland Naturally. And they are going to be doing next week, November 18th to 22. It's a virtual taste of Iceland in North America. So it's going to be live streamed. It will be music, it will be food, it will be cuisine, it will be film. It's a great thing for you to consider doing if you want to get a real feel for what Iceland is all about. And I will tell you, on New Year's Eve, they live stream fireworks display. I thought, okay, I'm going to watch it. It'll be, 20 minutes, a half an hour. It goes on for hours and hours and hours. And this too is live streamed. So we've got some holidays coming up. While we can't be in Iceland physically, we can certainly be there virtually. So I want to say thank you for listening and letting me share my passion. And I certainly hope that we will all get back to Iceland in the very near future.
So great, Judy, if you'll put your camera back on so we can see you. You flew through that. So you're allowed. You're allowed. So here's my first question for you. What is it about Iceland that talks to your soul? And I can say that because I'm your personal friend, so I know it does.
I'm trying to get my video back on. So
we see you. We see you. We see you, Judy.
Oh, okay.
But why don't you just move a slide back so we have a pretty photo?
Yeah, right. We go back to this technical stuff. It's not going.
There we go.
Well, you don't need to see that. Let's look at the Northern Lights or that. What speaks to my soul, I love the fact that Iceland is indeed nature made. We all travel, we are passionate about it. We go to a lot of places, we look at museums, we look at buildings, and that's all wonderful. But when I go to Iceland, I'm looking at nature. I'm looking what has been made by the gods, so to speak. The people are so genuine and down to earth. The majority of the population, something crazy like 90% of the population is college educated. They all speak English. They're very technologically savvy. It's just a great destination that to me offers such a wide variety of experiences and things that you can do, that you can share with your family, that are not contrived. They're just there by nature for you to enjoy.
Great. Yeah. And you need a jacket in the summer, which is awesome if you live in Georgia like I do.
There are places in the world that people, don't care for the really hot weather in the summer months. So Iceland is a terrific place to get to. And it's really relatively easy. From the States, if you're on the East Coast, it's barely 5 hours. If you're on the West Coast, it's a 7-hour flight. And once you get to Iceland, you can continue on to other cities in Europe, and it's only about a 2.5 hour flight to get to other cities. So it's a great location, you know, and may get 2 destinations for the price of 1. I've been told, this is not my personal thing, but I've been told that Oktoberfest in Iceland is second only to Oktoberfest in Germany. So think about this, maybe you can go to Reykjavik, do a stopover, and then continue onward and get 2 Oktoberfest for the price of 1.
That's my kind of trip. As I put in the chat that a 6-pack of beer cost me $42 there, and it was
We
great
don't
beer
need to talk. Well, Iceland is not, it's not inexpensive. The prices are quite high. To counterbalance that, I always say there are no taxes and there is no tipping in Iceland. So it balances a bit. When you arrive in Reykjavik, there are 2 very, very large duty-free shops. It's a good idea to purchase your beverage of choice and enjoy it in your hotel room. It will be a lot less expensive. The thing about Iceland, when you go to the hotels, the lobbies are where all the action is. And Americans have this habit of running to their room, plugging in their phone or whatever, their computer, and sitting there and checking emails, where all the activities down in the lobby, the wine bar, the coffee bar, all the people. So the lobbies are where you really want to be, but you can't bring your own booze. So you have to enjoy that in your room.
Okay, great tip. Great tip. So tell us about seeing the Northern Lights. When's the very best time to go?
You know, it's been changing. It used to be that people would say October to March, but this year and the last few years, there have actually been sightings in August, towards the end of August, and even through in the middle of April. So the November to March thing's sort of been extended. And it's just a natural phenomenon. So please don't go to Iceland to see the Northern Lights. Red flags flying if a client comes in and says, oh, I want to go to Iceland because I want to see the Northern Lights. They very well may, but there is a 50-50 chance that they may not. You can see the Northern Lights by boat, by land, in the air. I think would be a really cool way to see them. They have built a Northern Lights museum that I thought was going to be kind of hokey, but it's fabulous. The Northern Lights Museum is run by photographers, and all of the images in there are their photos that they took. You bring your camera there, they will set all the apertures and the settings so that you get the optimal opportunity with your camera to shoot the Northern Lights. And then you go into another room that's a virtual reality and you put on goggles and you're inside, warm and toasty, but you're looking at the Northern Lights. And again, these are images that these professional photographers took. So I guess you could say you really do get to see the Northern Lights.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool. That's on my bucket list because I have yet to see them. But just go stay for a month, and then your chance is very good. Is there a that's my new mantra. So, is there a best time of the year to see puffins?
The puffins are they're pretty much like May to the summer months, more like May to September, that you can see the puffins. And there is a very large what do I say, congregation of them. I don't know what they're called, but up in the north. And I didn't talk too much about north because most people do Reykjavik and the southern coast, but Akureyri, which is the second largest city, is to the north. And I just love it. I love the north even more than the south. There are less people, more horses. So I'm really happy up in Akureyri, and that's where the puffins are. They're up north in Husavik and up in Akureyri.
Yeah, and I will say I had the most amazing puffin viewing in Husavik while we were going whale watching.
There you go.
I mean, just flocks and flocks of them, and it was unbelievable, the color. So here's a question. People who speak English often have different accents than U.S. English. Do the Icelandic people have an accent? How's their English?
When they speak English, there is a very distinct accent. that you would know they're Scandinavian. You may not know that it's exactly Icelandic. They're just, like any culture, there's certain words, they speak perfect English. You understand what they're saying. There's no challenge understanding them. Indeed, they do have an accent, yes, but it's a
Okay.
lovely one. I mean, I'm kind of partial, but it's a lovely one.
Yeah. Oh, and everybody there seems to have blue eyes. It's crazy.
Those Vikings got around. The Vikings
Yeah.
are responsible. They got around. There's some beautiful, beautiful people up there, physically beautiful.
Yeah, they really are. Somebody wanted to know hours of daylight in the winter. Do you happen to have a chart that you'll be able to share with people on that?
Yes, it was in the beginning of my
So
presentation.
that daylight was on there.
It was temperature and hours of daylight in the depth of the winter. Like if you're going January, February, it's going to be, the sun will not come up until around 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning. And it's dusky. It's not pitch dark. It's dusky. You're still going to be able to get a full day of activities in. And then around 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the evening, yes, then it will get dark. But that's when you get to see the northern lights. So you see, there's a benefit to that.
There you go. There you go. Tell me about gender equality in Iceland.
I'm not sure what you mean by that, Jane.
Oh, I think they've had some women prime ministers.
Oh, gender. I'm
Gender
sorry.
equality. Yes.
Yes, actually, Iceland is very forward thinking in that regard. There have been many women presidents and prime ministers in Iceland. In fact, I think there were 20 or so in the last 36 years. And another thing that sort of along the same lines, but it's a reverse, maternity leave in Iceland is up to 1 year for both the father and the mother, and they have to hold your job. So it's just interesting. Different cultures have different ideas of things. But yes, if your maternity leave can be up to 1 year.
Great. And we just have time for one more question. And
Okay.
I understand people in Iceland like to read.
Oh my gosh, it's some crazy statistic that I don't know, 1 or 2 in every 10 people have actually published books. In fact, the tradition on New Year's Eve is Icelandic people exchange books as gifts, and they spend Christmas Eve reading and drinking hot chocolate. They revere books and the printed word. It's wonderful, wonderful destination. What can I say? I think you can hear it in my voice, how much I love Iceland, and I hope you get the chance to experience it as well.
Good. And then just one more thing, COVID. We have
COVID.
2 minutes.
Well, it's all relative because they only have 360,000 people, and they only had about 5,000 cases and not a lot of deaths. I think the deaths were under 20 people. But they opened up, and like everywhere else, things have had to close back down again. So at the moment, I'm not advocating anybody going to Iceland. Let's wait. Let's all start off next year with a year of travel, and Iceland will be there waiting for you in all its glory.
And all the wide open spaces that we need.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. Judy has a booth for another client of hers. She's here with Incatera. So if you go to Judy, have some appointments, and she's here in the States and always easy to reach. And thank you so much, my friend.
It has been my pleasure. Take care, everyone, and thank you so much for listening.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.